Global launch for Microsoft Xbox One console. Microsoft's Xbox One game console went to sale in the UK at midnight. About 300 game shops and 100 Tesco stores across the UK stayed open so gamers could buy the device. Microsoft held launch events in London, New York, and Los Angeles to mark the arrival of the successor to the Xbox 360. Uh, the launch comes a week after the US launch of Sony's PlayStation 4 and sees the two start their fight for dominance during the key Christmas season. No advantage. Although the PS4 launched first in the US, it will not go on sale in the UK and Europe until 29th November. By contrast, the Xbox One went on sale in 13 countries on Friday, 22nd November. Neither console is said to be available in Japan until 2014. Mark Whitten and Chief Producer Officer, Xbox One, told the BBC Microsoft had experienced an unprecedented number of pre-orders for the Xbox, far exceeding those of the Xbox 360. I feel very good about where we are. Today's launch is just the beginning of an amazing journey. Launches are typically staggered, so console makers keep manufacturing costs down to give makers time to translate content into different languages, and to ensure deals covering what media can be seen on the gadget are in place. In the UK, the Xbox One is expected to cost about £429 and it's about €514, and the PlayStation 4 £349. It's about €418. The more expensive Xbox includes a bundled Kinect sensor that does a better job of spotting movement and hearing sounds than the first generation of the device. Microsoft also has ambitions for its console to act as a hub for anything seen on a TV, and the device can act as a controller for cable and satellite set-top boxes. Microsoft's SkypeNet calling system is also integrated into the device. The technical specifications of the two devices are broadly similar, and the graphics on games are much improved on the preceding generation of consoles. Experts suggest that Sony's PS4 has the edge on graphics, and early reports revealed that two games, Battlefield 4 and Call of Duty Ghosts, would play in higher resolution on the PS4. Both consoles attempt to round out the social side of gaming, giving owners tools and services that let them play with or against friends or find opponents online. If history has anything to say about it, core gamers tend to favor Sony, said Brian Blau, research director at analyst firm Gartner. There is nothing I've seen to say that one platform is going to have an advantage over the other. Rob Crossley, associate editor of ComputerAndVideoGames.com, called Microsoft's build-up to the launch "luckless and calamitous" because it had to drop features such as restrictions on used games that had been widely criticized. With Sony's PlayStation 4 being such a similar device and £80 cheaper, Microsoft will face significant challenges convincing shoppers that Xbox One is the smarter investment, he added. In 2013, Microsoft and Sony faced a very different games market than that seen when the Xbox 360 and PS3 were launched. The past few years have seen the rise of indie and casual games, a renaissance in PC gaming, and the emergence of rivals such as Valve, which is preparing its own gaming gadget. Q&A: Iran nuclear crisis. One of the thorniest disputes between Iran and the international communities is over Iran's nuclear program. The two sides have been in stalemate for years, despite several rounds of sanctions and talks. Here is an explainer to the crisis. Why is there a crisis? In short, because world powers suspect Iran is not being honest about its nuclear program and is seeking to build a nuclear bomb. Iran stresses that its nuclear program is for peaceful purposes only, but years of on-off talks have not yet resolved the issue. How did it come about? Iran's nuclear program became public in 2002, where an opposition group revealed clandestine activity, including an uranium enrichment plant at Natanz and a heavy water reactor at Arak. The Iranian government subsequently agreed to inspections by the United Nations nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA), but questions remained about its intentions. The IAEA was unable to confirm Iran's assertions that its nuclear program was exclusively for peaceful purposes and that it had not sought to develop nuclear weapons. This led the United States and its European allies to press Iran to stop enriching uranium, which can be used for civilian nuclear purposes, but also to build nuclear bombs. In 2003, Iran agreed to suspend enrichment during negotiations over the long-term fate of its nuclear program. However, the deal collapsed after the election of President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad in 2005. In 2006, the IAEA Board of Governors referred Iran to the UN Security Council for failing to comply with its Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty (NPT) Safeguards Agreement. Since then, the Security Council has adopted 6 resolutions requiring Iran to stop enriching uranium. 4 resolutions have included progressively expansive sanctions. The US and EU have imposed additional sanctions on Iranian oil exports and banks since 2012, crippling Iran's economy. Despite this, Iran continues to enrich uranium. In 2009, it disclosed the existence of a new underground facility at Fordo. There have been multiple rounds of negotiations between Iran and the so-called sorry about the cell phone. I'll repeat this paragraph again. There have been multiple rounds of negotiations between Iran and the so-called P5+1, the US, UK, France, China, Russia, and Germany, but the sides have so far failed to reach agreement. As Iran has pressed ahead with its nuclear program, Israel has threatened to carry out military action to prevent Iran from being able to produce nuclear weapons. Has anything changed? Since he unexpectedly won the presidential election in June and succeeded Mahmoud Ahmadinejad 2 months later, Hassan Rouhani and other senior Iranian officials have reached out to the West, saying they want to address concerns about Iran's nuclear activities and negotiate an end to the sanctions that have crippled its economy. In an interview with NBC in September, Mr. Rouhani said he had full power and complete authority to strike a nuclear deal. Ultimate power lies with Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, but he has transferred responsibility for nuclear negotiations from the National Security Council to the Foreign Ministry, which is led by the US-educated former diplomat Mohammad Javad Zarif. Later that month, Mr. Rouhani and US President Barack Obama became the first leaders of their countries to speak to each other since 1979. In a telephone conversation, they agreed to accelerate talks aimed at ending the nuclear crisis. Mr. Obama said only meaningful, transparent, and verifiable actions could bring relief from sanctions, but also that there was a unique opportunity to make progress with the new with the new leadership in Tehran. Why has the UN Security Council ordered Iran to stop enrichment? Because the technology used to enrich uranium to the level needed for nuclear power can also be used to enrich it to the higher level needed for a nuclear explosion. Iran hid an enrichment program for 18 years. So the Security Council says that until Iran's peaceful intentions can be fully established, it should stop enrichment and other nuclear activities. Under international law, an order from the Security Council is held to supersede rights granted by other international organizations. The Security Council has ordered sanctions under Article 41 of Chapter 7 the UN Charter, which enables it to decide what measures not involving the use of armed force are to be employed to give effect to its decisions. The Council has also called on Iran to ratify and implement an arrangement allowing more extensive inspections as a way of establishing confidence. How does Iran justify its refusal to obey the Security Council resolutions? Iran has said it is simply doing what it is allowed to do under the NPT and intends to enrich uranium only for power station, fuel, or other peaceful purposes. Under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, a signatory state has the right to enrich uranium to be used as fuel for civil nuclear power. Such states have to remain under inspection by the IAEA. Iran is under inspection, though not under the strictest rules allowed because it will not agree to them. Only those signatory states with nuclear weapons at the time of the treaty in 1968 are allowed to enrich to the higher level needed for a nuclear weapon. How close are the sides to reaching agreement? Iran and the P5+1 reportedly came close to striking a deal during talks in Geneva in early November 2013, and momentum continued when the talks resumed 10 days later. The two sides are discussing a first step interim deal, and although the details have not been made public, the P5+1 is reported to be offering to ease some sanctions in return for Iran's agreement to halt uranium enrichment to 20%, reduce its existing stockpile, not let a heavy water plant being built at Arak become operational, and allow more inspections by the IAEA. Iran has insisted any deal recognize what it says is its right to enrichment, something which has been a sticking point. Both sides have described the current talks as constructive, but differences still need to be bridged. Why does the West suspect Iran wants nuclear weapons? In 2007, the US published a declassified version of its national intelligence estimate. It assessed with high confidence that Iran did have a nuclear weapons program in 2003, but that senior Iranian leaders stopped it when it was discovered. The 2010 NIE was not released, but according to the New York Times, it concluded that while Iran had conducted some basic weapons-related research, it was not believed to have restarted the actual weapons program halt in 2003. An IAEA report published in 2011 said it had credible information that Iran had carried out activities relevant to the development of a nuclear explosive device. This included the acquisition of nuclear weapons, development information and documentation, work to develop an indigenous design of a nuclear weapon, including the testing of components, efforts to procure nuclear-related and dual-use equipment and materials by military-related individuals and entitled entities, and work to develop undeclared pathways for the production of nuclear material. Although some of the activities had civilian applications, others were specific to nuclear weapons. The report noted Iran said the IAEA's information was based on forgeries. The report drew attention to a military complex at Parchin, south of Tehran, which the IAEA has been unable to visit since 2005. Reports surfaced in 2000 that a large containment vessel had been built there to conduct hydrodynamic experiments. The IAEA said such experiments, which involve using explosives in conjunction with nuclear material with surrogates, were strong indicators of possible weapon development. A report issued in 2006 said IAEA inspectors had not observed any unusual activities or detected the presence of any nuclear material at Parchin the previous year, though they did not visit the site of the containment vessel. What does Iran say? Iran has dismissed the allegations and reaffirmed its commitment to nuclear non-proliferation. In September 2013, President Rouhani insisted that Iran would never seek weapons of mass destruction, including nuclear weapons. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who is reported to have issued a fatwa some time ago against nuclear weapons, declared in 2009, We fundamentally reject nuclear weapons and prohibit the use and production of nuclear weapons. Could Iran build a nuclear bomb if it chose to? In September 2012, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told the United Nations General Assembly that Iran should not be allowed to possess enough weapons-grade uranium to produce a single weapon. Israel officials said that meant it must not hold 240 kilograms or more of uranium enriched to a medium level of purity, or 20%. From there, they argued it would take only a few months to build a bomb as 20% enriched uranium could be enriched to 90% or weapons grade in a relatively short time. Iran has argued that it needs 3.5% enriched uranium for electricity production as its Bushehr nuclear plant, and 20% enriched uranium for conversion into fuel for its medical research reactor in Tehran provided by the US in the days of the Shah. In August 2013, the IAEA reported that just over half of its 372.5 kilograms of 20% enriched uranium had been converted, leaving it with 185.8 kilograms. US President Barack Obama told an Israeli television station in March 2013 that his administration believed it would take over a year or so for Iran to actually develop a nuclear weapon. If it decided to do so, that would mean producing enough weapons-grade uranium, fashioning it into a warhead, and being able to deliver it by airplane, ship, or missile. US officials have also said that if Iran wanted to enrich its uranium to weapons grade, it would have to throw out the IAEA inspector and take steps that would be easily detectable. What are the chances of an attack on Iran? Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu constantly stressed what he sees as a potential existential threat from Iran, so the possibility of an attack by Israel at least remains. At the UN in September 2012, Mr. Netanyahu had set a red line of spring or summer 2013 for when Iran would be close to having enough weapons-grade uranium to produce a nuclear bomb, raising expectations of an Israeli attack around that time. However, talks between the P5+1 and Iran and its conversion of 20% enriched uranium into fuel pushed back that deadline. US officials have stressed the instability that would result from any attack on Iran. They appear to be hoping that even if Iran continues to develop its nuclear expertise, it will not try to build a bomb. However, Mr. Obama has also sought to reassure Israelis that military force remains a U.S. option if sanctions and diplomacy fail to thwart Iran's alleged nuclear ambitions. When I say that all options are on the table, all options are on the table. He told Israeli TV in March 2013. Doesn't Israel have a nuclear bomb? Israel neither confirms nor denies it has nuclear weapons, a policy known as nuclear ambiguity, though it is widely believed to possess up to 400 warheads. Israel has had a nuclear research facility in Dimona since the 1960s, and in 1986, former worker Mordechai Vanunu revealed details of a clandestine weapons program at the plant. Iran has accused the West of double standards in opposing its nuclear program, but not Israel's. However, Israel is not a part to the NPT, so it is not obliged to report to it. Neither are India or Pakistan, both of which have developed nuclear weapons. North Korea has left the treaty and has announced that it has acquired a nuclear weapons capacity. On 18 September 2009, the IAEA called on Israel to join the NPT and open its nuclear facilities to inspection.